my homosexuals. Oh, so good. So good. I know day before yesterday, I was talking about the redemption I was feeling in my bones. Really good to get back to some normal feeling weights that, we obviously never really have as much control as we want, because it's more of a mindset and a fallacy to think that you're in control of whatever happens. You only are truly in control of however you feel about what happens. Oh, but today was a day that gave me some of that control back. Even if it's a placebo, I could care less, because progress is progress, man. And it feels good to know exactly what my body's feeling and what it's actually capable of. The goal today, at least on the clean and jerks, was to mimic a bit what I did on my first snatch day back the other day, since I took that time off to let my left quad recover a bit. And I just wanted to hit like that top comfortable heavy single. It's not actually like heavy, it's just heavy enough to where I gotta really try, but I know I have it, because that's the whole idea. You want it to be near picture perfect, as at least as close as you can get it to that, and oh man, I changed the grip up, as I've been mentioning. Slightly wider grip on the clean and jerk, because my shoulders are too bouldering, they're too big for the narrow grip I was doing before. And today, that influx of experience is finally added into something. It really, I can feel that it's working, because it still feels difficult. It's heavy, and I haven't clean and jerked heavy in a minute. It's going to take time to get back used to it. And when you change anything about an Olympic lift, all the timing changes. Your cues, your speed, which muscles to lock in when, what mind muscle connections to attach your mindset to while you're doing the lift, because you can't think about too much happening. But I gotta say, the progress was quick. The first couple sets felt weird but strong. Like the weights feel pretty heavy right now, just in general. But I could feel, it's the first time that I've actually felt like the clean and jerk is becoming a technique-based lift. Because in the long run, you'll get through a lot more plateaus, and you'll get to your next highest level of potential through means of strength more than technique. But if you can just sprinkle on, at the bare minimum, that little bit of technique that you need to go to the next step efficiently, to where you are at the least risk of injury and are using all of your main muscle groups in the best way possible, oh man, it makes a world of difference. It truly, it's been revitalizing, to say the least. But it's just like really locking in the certain muscles is what's really been hard to get the mind muscle connection for, because with the more narrow grip, I had to force myself to lean slightly forward off of my midfoot at the beginning of the pull, and then shift to midfoot as I passed my knees into the second and third pull to balance myself out. With this wider grip, my shoulders are just about over the bar wherever I sit it, so I just have to plant my midfoot right out the get-go, which is better, whether it's technique or efficiency or whatever. It's better currently, but I still haven't ever really done this before. It's still difficult because my body thinks that I'm doing incorrect technique right now. It's in that transition period of understanding that this is what's going to be what's happening from now on. We're switching it up, but your physical body doesn't really match up with your brain a lot of times with what you think you want, because it's just sitting there like, hey man, this is not right. This isn't what we've been doing for 3+ years. And I'm like, that sucks, because this is what we're doing now. By the time I got to 275, it was pretty locked in. 255 felt a little wobbly, but it was better than 225. And 275, although it's heavy and it's not as fast and strong as I anticipated it to maybe be, it still pursued the goal and the desire that I had behind the lift initially. The whole idea of growth that I wanted when it came to just getting better. It's not all about being as strong as humanly possible and lifting the heaviest weights you can. It's about how confident you are that you can do it. Being able to really illustrate that image in your mind that you will 100% make it, and you just have to stick through with all the experience and knowledge that you've built up to this point. The split jerk as well, it wasn't as fluent as it was the other day. My arms have been pretty beat up since getting back into the normal program. but still very solid. And honestly, for my arms being a little bit weaker than normal, today would have been a day where I would have been leaning forward a lot on that front foot because of the old technique. And it's not perfect yet, but I will say that front foot gets out, man. It gets there before I even realize it needs to be there. And it's the stabilization is so much better, because I'm not as good as most Olympic lifters when it comes to letting that back knee bend down. It feels very uncomfortable for me. I've never really been that strong in that position. I feel better having a wide split with a little bit of bend, regardless, made me extremely confident in the effort to come, because although it felt physically heavy, the technique made it easy. I had no worries. It was maximum confidence. It's the easiest 275s really ever felt because of how much more effort I had to put in with the more narrow grip. I've been stronger than I am today, but that doesn't mean that it's still, that doesn't mean I'm not in the best condition I could be. I'm still making that progress, even though it doesn't yet match my physical adaptability. Otherwise, I wanted to test out the slow tempo pauses for front squat, and I did some hard, really distinct pauses, like close to a Klokov, like really long pause on the clean pulls, and it worked wonders. And like I said, with the old grip, front squat hasn't felt good in months. It's been probably 7, 8, 9 months since I've actually felt decent on a front squat, and it was still really, pretty piss poor technique before I felt good with the inefficient lifts that I was doing. I wanted to make sure my knee, or not my knee, I keep saying it's the end of my quad connecting to my knee. I wanted to make sure that little pinch was gone before I put on anything heavy or tried to do anything crazy rep and bounce wise. So if you're going to get the technique written down and memorized in your mind muscle connection, some good long slow tempos with a good hard pause, with your hips fully flexed, your low back tight, no butt wink, no dip of the chest or the delts or the elbows, just really good solid form. And this is, again, the first time I've actually felt like, let's, for example, on the last rep, I actually felt like I was leaning forward because I'd gone so much slower, and I really tried to put in my best for it because it was right at the end. I had nothing to lose kind of deal. And even though it felt like previous lifts where I was leaning forward with the old technique, this slightly wider grip has made it to where I can stabilize exactly where I need to and just hold it. And I watched that video back, man, and there's no leaning like at all. It's insane to me because my body is feeling the same as what it felt before, but it hasn't recognized that it's making that progress yet because it doesn't see the video till after. Shit. That's some progress, man. A really strong bottom position in a front squat is gold, man. It makes a world of difference because technique is always a higher priority when it comes to snatch because of how difficult the movement and the hold is anyway. Front squat, you can kind of muscle through a bit because you got a lot more of a compact stance, and you can use your arms more than you need to than your core, for example. And it was locked in today. It's only 275. It's nothing crazy, but it was easy, man. I was flying. I could slow it down more than I wanted to. It felt so good. Clean pulls, again, I went heavier than I thought. I really wanted to shock the CNS and get the bar path down for the pull because this is a new technique where I'm sitting on midfoot right out the gate more than leaning forward like I used to. And it's making a world of difference, man. 365 is moving, and the pull is getting higher than I've ever actually gotten it before. It's a different kind of experience now. Physically, shit. Man, it's hard to say because the weights are still heavy because I haven't done a heavy clean jerk day probably since the last clean jerk day that made my knee feel pretty bad. But I'm still going to give it a 9.5. It feels inflated, but just because I'm not as strong or I'm not lifting as heavy a weight doesn't mean I'm not still feeling physically peaked. I'm feeling peaked in my own individualistic way. That's going to get me to that next step quicker than I could ever imagine, mentally. I think I'm pretty lined up right now. I'll just give it a flat 9.5 too. I feel very in sync with what my body's feeling today. I honestly came in with a little bit of fear and a little bit of, not FOMO. Nah, I'm not going to lie to myself. I had a sprinkle of FOMO today. It happens to the best of us. It's inevitable when you get inspired by someone, but you haven't yet realized why you're lacking in certain departments that you haven't realized that you have the potential for yet, And not to toot my own horn, but if you've been here for a minute, you'll remember the garage lifts I did a couple months ago with some homies that invited me out there. And turns out, I already knew this about the one guy, but the guy who invited me was like super strong. He just went to the Bahrain World Championships, which is awesome. Preston Powell, if you know that name. And then the other guy's last name is Ferguson. That guy also lifts out in the garage. And he broke the American record, man. And it's nuts to be in such a close vicinity with such motivating people that, I can see myself wanting to envelop or even overcome. I never look at anybody anymore and think that that's what I exactly want to be, because nobody ever lifts like anyone else. Even though I'm not as strong as a lot of people, nobody can ever lift the way that I lift. It's my own unique experience and lifestyle that I've developed in my own occurrences of obstacles that I had to overcome. And I will say, I saw their videos from the Bahrain comp, and it really got me thinking about it, man. It's been a long time since I've competed, because genuinely, this isn't me lying to myself, genuinely, I'm not interested, at least not right now. I'm working on myself so much and enjoying life to such a high extent that just the thing with competition that always irked me was that you have to throw yourself off schedule, lift heavier than you would have wanted to at that time efficiently, at least for what I like doing. I like sticking to the program and never really doing a true max out. And then once you get on stage, if one thing that you never really control how peaked you are. It's just, you got to hope that you're prepared enough to do as best as you can, and maybe you'll also be peaked on top of it, And I hate training for so long, going on stage, especially paying for it, and then failing all of it just to go home and think that it wasn't good enough when it is. You have to be able to remind yourself that even if you fail every single attempt, they're worthwhile. They have their own progression behind them, even if you're not doing it correctly. Like when I did my 315 double that messed up my knee about 2.5 weeks ago, I told you guys that was what was going to make me better. And here I am sitting now. It's not as heavy today, but the form, the technique, and the efficiency has never felt so concise. My core's not even shaking. That's how good it was. I felt amazing today because I grew off of that. I took that as my own inspiration. I don't need other people's passions and other people's statistical progress to be my motivation. It just comes from what I'm putting behind the barbell every day, And I look into it's never out of a negative spot when you compare yourself to others. But man, it can cause a downfall. It can really make you think that what you're doing needs to be different when you're just doing the absolute best that you can with your current situation and your current physical body. It's never that you're not doing enough. It's only ever about how much passion you can put into the effort that you were able to put in today. I'm never going to be always peaked. I'm never going to hit the same weights the same every single day. It's always going to be different by one little thing. And it's up to me to put that energy and that effort behind it, So it's important to remind yourself that these other people's experiences, even if it's something that I could absolutely see myself falling in love with one day, if I can become that kind of lifter, doesn't mean I need to do it that way or in that, in that exact experience. Others' experiences and others' biases are always best used as a positive perspective that you can adapt into your own experience for what you want to do. I'm an Olympic lifter that benches. I'm a little bit of an oddball when it comes to ollie lifting because so many other people, first of all, have coaches, A lot more people will never bench. I don't see people overhead squat ever. And again, I never see people train snatch and clean and jerk separately like I do, because I don't train for comps. I train for maximum intensity on those specific lifts each day. I like each passion lift having its own time to itself that I can pour my heart into, rather than going in and then having clean and jerk always come second because you have to snatch first according to a competition standard, because in your training cycles, you don't just go do a snatch and then you have like an hour to chill out and then rebuild up to a clean and jerk. You have to do it back to back for the sake of your own personal daily schedule. And back when I trained that way, even if it was for a short amount of time, I always fell short of my clean and jerk, and I always felt lackluster. It made me lose passion in that lift because it deserves its own spotlight in what I want to give it, Anyway, I was just feeling a sort of way. I genuinely am so excited for January, because I keep saying it. I got one more week where I'm going to keep messing around, doing these fun, complex variation lifts. Tomorrow's going to be, I'm going to go a little bit lighter on the snatch. I really want to focus on squat tomorrow. If my left leg feels good, I want to go decently heavy for some good. There'll probably be slow tempo involved just for the sake of recovering my leg at the best efficiency possible. And then I'll have one more squat day before I leave town where I can go heavier if it feels good. I'm locked in right now, man. Even if I'm 15 steps behind in the current calendar date, the ideas and the effort that I'm excited to express into my future lifts are boundless right now. When I get back from being out of town somewhere around the 26th, I'm going to try to deload, get back to my normal strength really quickly. If there's a place to work out where I'm out of town, I'll try to maintain as best as I can over there. But after that first week of being back in town, I'm going to go as hard as I can on the normal cycle and just really, really drive it home how much I deserve to increase my weights. Because realistically, I've never been this strong, and I've never been this confident, and I've never had this much good experience before. But I honestly haven't made really any heavyweight progress in 10 months. Ever since I left Orlando when I initially tore my left quad tendon. That was when I peaked for the last time. And now it's been a battle of recovering my body efficiently, relearning what program is best for me now, and what mindsets and ideologies I want to carry over into my best peaking programs in the future. And it's coming. I'll tell you what, it's in the next cycle is going to be where I get my bearings and really lock in the weights that I know I have. And then after this first cycle that happens in January, it's going to be a different ball game, man. I'm going to be going up pounds and pounds and pounds every other month, and I couldn't be more excited. Anyway, let me know how y'all's lifts and lives have been going. I love hearing about it. You know that. I appreciate you letting me shoot my shit as I do. But I'll be back, as always. Same passion, same love for the sport and the life we live, that kind of stuff. But I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.